Hello and welcome. If you don't know me yet, my name is Marketa and I'm a holistic career coach. Right now, what you're about to watch is a replay of a live workshop that I did. It's on the topic of building your best life and career that supports it. And specifically, we are workshopping what is it that you actually want, right? We are dropping off the social conditioning, we are dropping off the shoots and shouldn't, etc., etc. And instead, we are working on how to actually tune in internally and finding out what it is that you want, what it is that some of the people who are in the workshop really, really want. Because once you have that guidance, you will be able to design exactly the life and the lifestyle that you truly desire and a career that is supporting that, not the other way around. I don't believe that that's how it's supposed to be. And if that's also how you think, then I think you're really in the right place. Okay, now how to actually use this replay. It is actually quite good for you right now that it's already a video that is recorded. So take a pen and paper and really go thoroughly through the replay. It was quite a long workshop. It was 1.5 hours. So anytime you need, pause it and really work on those specific questions that I was asking there. Also, do not take it lightly, the fact that someone else was being coached live on that. I know that some of you couldn't make it because of the time difference. But at the same time, even maybe if you're watching this in the future, there is a real power in listening to someone else being coached, because we have our own thoughts about how things are, and we see this concept of reality as the true reality, and suddenly realize oh, not everyone thinks the same. Like, when this is what I would have answered to this question, but this person maybe answers something completely different. So this can actually also help you. So always listen also to what others maybe are saying and think of oh, does this feel right to me or not? And then make sure that you take that time to tune inside and realize what it actually means for you. So enjoy. I have really had a lot of fun doing this, and I cannot wait for in the future to do more. And when you're done, make sure to get in touch with me and tell me what you thought about the workshop. Tell me a little bit more about where you currently are, not physically, but where you are in life.
Okay, Tom, go ahead if you want.
Yeah, sure. So we moved to Portugal around 17 days ago, and we're coming from Dubai, but we are Lebanese. So
Awesome. Love it.
that just shows you the dynamic, maybe a little bit. This is our son, Hani.
Amazing.
So yeah, I mean, our project in life is to move to a country that gives us fulfillment in both professional, personal, and family life. We've enjoyed our time in Dubai, but that country is mainly for work more than family and future upbringing the way we want. So we want to come to this area because it gives us better prospects in life. Just to summarize it,
I absolutely understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in Lebanon, it's very tough now. It's very difficult for us to be there. So we've decided to embark on this journey, and what we are going through now is the transition, of course, the adaptation.
Sure.
And we're trying to settle down in terms of school, in terms of jobs, in terms of how we make our way through in this kind of approach. And we're on a D7, so we're trying to. I'm using your presence in Portugal as well. I'm assuming that you know all of those kind of arrangements.
Yeah, we already discussed those with Carla over chat.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, we're trying to make it work for us in that sense, because we want to be more present as a family together, and we want to also be financially how can I call it? I mean, financially abundant and satisfied, and in order to put the basis for all of that.
I love that. Honestly, like you're just speaking out of my mind. So this is just perfect. And that's literally how I wanted to design this whole workshop and generally why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what? Let's start actually. I would say throughout, I'm gonna have a little presentation to kind of like help me stay on track with my thoughts. But if I'm gonna ask certain questions, just feel free to start dropping stuff in the chat. Just to let you know, as you already noticed, is being recorded. It's later on going to be also fulfilled as a replay for the people, again, as I said at the beginning, that couldn't join. So whatever you feel free to share, go ahead. I'm gonna be obviously happy. And let's get to it. I wanted to create this this workshop for the type of people who want to live a life that, you know, that maybe they at this moment that maybe don't even realize it's possible. We will get into it, into the reasons why maybe they don't realize that. And also to be kind of able to build the type of career, whatever it is going to be, a job, a business, it doesn't really matter at this point, the type of career that is actually going to support that lifestyle. There is a reason why, and some people maybe might be curious, like why is it this way that I'm thinking about it this way, but me as a career coach, I'm not thinking first about what type of job we can get and then we're gonna work the life around it. I want it to be the other way around. Yes, I want you to find fulfillment in your career. I want you to really enjoy whatever it is that you are doing. But I also just want to make sure that it all helps us to build a bigger picture. Now, why am I doing all of this? So for those of you maybe who don't know me really yet, my name is Markéta, and I come originally from Czech Republic. That's just in the center of Europe. And currently, as you see on this picture, currently I'm living in Portugal. I moved to Lisbon. I think, yeah, it was October. From the 1st of October, we were officially living here. It took some time to really get all the official paper, as we have discussed already. But I have to say, it was literally one of the best decisions we have ever made, whether it is for the lifestyle, actually really mostly for the lifestyle. Just the fact of being able to have the sunlight, for me coming from a place that half of the year had almost zero sun. And I then realized how much it is actually discovering my mental health and even my physical well-being. Already this is such a huge lifestyle improvement. Plus the people are just incredibly kind and the nature is gorgeous. Just for me, that's kind of, yeah, that's just paradise. But why am I actually doing what I'm doing? So already when I was a student in my university, I extremely randomly got into recruitment. I had no idea at the time what I signed up for. I started doing it via a student organization, and I actually really liked it. And the part that I liked the most about that was the fact that I actually got to sit down with people from all around the world in that moment, because back then I was hiring foreign students to come to Czech Republic to work. So it was just incredible how really I got to speak with so many different nationalities. And I heard their stories and I realized how much I have been living in my own bubble of like how I think that things are and how I think that things are supposed to be. And suddenly I'm talking to all these people from different kind of world, and I'm realizing they have similar questions on life and similar stuff that they want to discover in their life, but they have a completely different way of looking at it based on where they come from, whether it is geographically, it could be when it comes to race, it could be when it comes to just family, right? So many different ways how we can be brought up. And I just find it absolutely fascinating, and to start understanding the stories of the individual. But then I kind of gave up of that, right? It just felt like just a student organization type of job. And I actually went to live in Germany. I went to a place where actually I didn't really feel energetically aligned with the place way before I actually moved there. But logically, I explained myself that it's like silly to think like that, and I just moved anyway. I really didn't do well there mentally. I fell into depression. And this was like my lowest point ever in life. I remember, I will never forget that. You know how you can have these like memorable moments in life that you always can look back and you feel like you're just back at it. But at the same time, fortunately, right now, I managed to look at it from like such a distance, it almost feel like it's a different person. I remember I was sitting on a couch, just crying after work. And I just felt so empty. I realized that I went there because I was running away, not because I wanted to go there. And I had no idea what I'm doing in life. I just felt so empty. At this moment, because I don't know, I don't know if you've ever been in such a situation, but I realized that only looking back, I realized that I wasn't able to actually make clear decisions and think clearly in a moment like that. And the only clear thing that came to me, actually, again, following my intuition, was that I wanted to travel. So I did travel. I was traveling for about like 2 months with a backpack. And I actually did find myself in one situation where I realized my life is kind of being threatened. And in the moment when I realized that this is the only moment when I'm actually feeling alive, some kind of thrill, I was like, whoa, we have a problem here. This is not okay. I cannot be putting myself into a life-threatening situation in order to feel alive. Something needs to change. After I came back from the travels, I got back to Czech Republic, actually, I moved back, and I started working again as a recruiter. To be honest, at this moment, it was purely just because I didn't know what else to do, right? I was already doing that. Why not? I could actually start doing it officially as a real job. And I actually got sunk into it so much. And again, because I was so curious about other people's stories, that probably the other parts, they felt it and they just started sharing with me. And I was blown away in so many different ways. I realized that the stuff that I was struggling with and how I was feeling lost and extremely unfulfilled and empty, there's so many people who fall into this trap because they just blindly are following something. They don't even know what they're following. They don't know what they're doing with life. They just keep following it. And slowly, I got my life back together. I went through a lot of ups and downs. I'm not gonna lie, it was not a linear path. A lot of things had to change and happen, but just realizing that right now I'm in a place where I live in a place that I love. I absolutely love my life. And again, I find that abundance to support that while I also love what I'm doing. It's honestly, it's just giving me chills sometimes. So right now, I would love, again, this is a workshop, right? This is not a masterclass. I don't want this to be just me talking and you listening. I would love if you want to tell me a little bit about maybe your current situation. We already know the names, we kind of know where you come from, so we don't need to look into that. But it would be amazing if you could tell me something about your career journey or career path right now, so that I know who I'm talking to. Again, I want to make this interactive, so that we can actually workshop your specific journey right now. Also, again, even for those who will see the replay, there's something very, very powerful in looking at others people's path and actually listening to that. So even, again, talking right now to somebody who is listening in the future, listen to the paths of Carla, Samir, and anyone else who will be talking, because you might actually hear something that you needed to hear, and you might hear something that is going to speak to you so loudly, and it's going to show you different perspective or where you currently are. So guys, if you could share with me right now in chat, telling me a little bit about what you have done until now, if you are, for example, in between jobs, or what is the industry or segment where you have been until now. I'm gonna take a sip of water. I'm starting to be really dehydrated from the talking. If you want, you can also jump on microphone. It's just gonna be easier for you.
Yeah, I was thinking like that because actually putting it in writing is too limiting for me because I've been doing a lot of things that could be positive and negative because I had so many ups and downs during my career, but all of them were a learning somehow to the next stage. But what I've done was mainly in management consulting.
Okay.
So I was part of consulting firms, but I was also doing consulting type of jobs within within companies. So I mean mainly in the media industry.
Awesome.
Yes, so basically the media industry in the Middle East is a very volatile area because it goes through quick cycles of ups and then also of downs, and then we kind of find ourselves losing our jobs very easily, which I've had like a couple of times, but
Okay.
and then also finding that kind of equilibrium for myself because I didn't like my consulting time because it was like very demanding in terms of time and resource and availability and travel, which meant less time with my family. Back then, I didn't have kids, but I knew that I didn't want that. So,
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect. That's a great introduction. This is going to be so good that you said it out loud this way because we're going to be working with that. So this is perfect. There is a message from Carla. So Carla says, currently working remotely in a job that I used to be very passionate about, but now I lost myself. Yeah. But because I want to be present with my children, I had to limit my scope, and I am doing doing a journey role. This is a job, a source of income, which is great. Okay, got it. I love those so much. But it's the reason I'm keeping it. Understood. Okay, cool. So this is so cool. And what is amazing is, and also what is my intention and hope for this workshop, is to be able to realize that right now we have certain thoughts about why we're doing what we're doing. For example, that I had to go for a more junior role because I have kids, because I want to be more present, because I want to work less. And that means I have to earn less. That's not true. It can be, and it's true for a lot of people, but we can work on it the way that it's not going to be true. Awesome. Okay. I mean, you guys are on a very interesting journey right now, and I am feeling that there's going to be a lot of excitement in the stuff that can actually unfold in this moment. And I'm so happy that you shared all of these things with me, because that's the question I wanted to give you, right? Why do you think right now that you are currently doing what you're doing? Imagine this is how good I'm in graphic design. This is you right now. And this is your career path. This is also your life path. My belief is that life is mirroring your career and career is mirroring your life. I don't really believe in thinking that this is two things. You're still one person, you live one life through which you have a career. So this is your path right now. Are you aware? Again, whether you want to jump on a microphone, write down in the chat, are you aware why are you in the place where you're right now? Whether it is in between jobs, whether it is whatever it is, right? Why are you doing this type of job? Why are you, let's say, in this industry? Are you aware of it? We want to start questioning everything. And maybe sometimes I can be a person who is like over analyzing everything, but like I'm like slightly passionate about that. So the moment when I actually started questioning my choices, I went deep. Like I literally questioned everything from I'm gonna say, for example, even I'm gonna question my sexuality, not because I'm not sure, but because I want to make sure that it was my choice, right? I'm gonna question the fact of, do I want to get married and have kids? Do I want it? I'm gonna question it. I might still come back to the fact of like, yes, I want, and I did come to that, but I want to know it's my choice and not that someone else made that choice and I just subscribed to that, right? So that's why I'm asking you this question of, the more you're going to question these things, you might still find out that you are exactly on the path where you wanted to be, but you want to know that it was your choice. Carla says, I'm doing it because I can work remotely while earning some income and it gives me flexibility. Okay, Carla, try to go a little bit more deeper. Why this specific job? Why maybe this industry? Hold on, let me go back in the chat. Oh yeah, actually, Carla, can you share with us the, yeah. Okay, never question the fact that I should have a job. Okay, this is good. Carla, can you share with us the specific industry maybe, or if you even want to say the specific job?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you well.
Okay, sorry. My son is has the other earphone piece. So yeah, I'm currently head of content for an online content team in a online retail for high-end products, kitchenware products. And originally, when I took on this job 7 years ago, I didn't have any children, and I was super excited because it was like the job for me, considering my career. And I entered from the big door into the industry. I had a very exciting job with a very big scope, large scope, doing the biggest projects of my career. And then I had my son, and then I consciously decided that I chose to have a slower pace to be able to be with my son, and that meant limiting my scope, and it started happening gradually. So it didn't happen right away. I said I would love to continue working, but I cannot commit like to these big projects. So I continued doing lots of projects, but on a scale that I could manage. So, and I switched to working from home long before COVID and working from home was a thing. So that was 6 years ago. And then slowly, the scope of my role started shrinking because, they kept pressuring me and offering me opportunities to grow if I chose to go back to the office. But that was never my choice. That was never my decision. So it was a decision for me to remain at home so I can be present with my first child. And then I got pregnant again years later. And so my role even became even more limited because, because they kind of lost hope that I would ever come back to the office. And with our move to Portugal, it's now like I'm actually currently in talks with my job about what is it that I really want to do, and if they want to keep. I mean, they want somebody in my caliber to be present at the office. It's not super interesting for them to continue my role remotely. So that the only way I can continue maybe is to keep this junior position, which doesn't have a lot of growth in it. And so it's a little bit frustrating for me because I know I can do a lot more, but at the same time, I'm prioritizing my role as a mom. So maybe I didn't really sit and think like existentially what I want in this life, because I actually don't really have mental bandwidth to do that with 2 children and an international move and everything we need to figure out. But I do know that it's important for me to have a source of income while having the flexibility. So in terms of maintenance, this job is very manageable for me the way it is right now, if they agree to keep me on the team, so yeah, so that's a whole other thing. Like with my line manager, he actually asked me to think about what is it that I want in my career and all of that, but it's not I'm not prioritizing my career right now because I have small children, so it's not to say that I cannot do both, but with little support and no family around, I don't want to have this type of pressure on my shoulders,
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's again coming back to we first decide how we want to design that life, and then we design the career that should support that life. Again, not the other way around. So it makes so much sense what you're saying. Just a question to that. Currently, let's say if nothing changed, do you feel like you are receiving from their side and everything together, the type of opportunities, the type of, let's say, money, right? The abundance that you, I don't really want to say deserve because we deserve everything, but do you feel like you are getting from their side?
Fulfilled? No.
Fair. No.
No.
Okay. And
it's maybe it's reasonable for the amount of work that I am putting in, but it's not. I am more senior than what I'm getting.
Yes, understood. So we're gonna change that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, Samir says, I'm questioning all of my career position given the current transition we're going through. I absolutely get that. I'm not currently working and I'm actively looking for remote roles in order to fulfill our new path. Awesome. So that could even be similar to actually Carla, because already imagine that the fact that you guys can maybe even random thought, but just the fact that let's say you could work for companies in different countries with different times of when they're working, it means that you both would have time, maybe, hopefully, to be present with your kids, because maybe when one of you is working, the other one can be present and vice versa, right? Maybe already a simple thing like that could give you more presence in the family time. We can, of course, figure out more facts. Also, Carla, for example, one possibility is that you can actually just work with this company only as a contractor for certain amount of hours per week and contract other companies so that you can actually schedule stuff the way you want. You can maybe have more diversity in different types of projects and just make your everyday work a little bit more interesting so that it would keep you. Okay, you are got it. So yeah, cool. Let's move on to the next slide, because here is few more of these questions that now you could ask yourself about where you currently at. So again, we see that career path. If you look here at the horizon, what do you see? Could you describe to me, do you see something, or do you just see here's kind of blurry? Do you see it blurry, like you don't know where you're actually headed? Or for example, since maybe again, this is a question even for other people who are watching the replay, let's say since I was 7 years old, I knew I'm gonna be a doctor. At 15, I went to study, I don't know, I started studying by myself, something about medicine. And at 18, I went to the university to study, and now I'm a doctor and I'm 40, and that's what I'm going to be, I guess, because I never thought of anything else. What is coming for you along the road? I'm not sure if that was said in a nice way or in like, oof. But when I see that, I'm like, okay, how do I get there? This is kind of like how it sounds to me. Yeah, I get that. And you know what? It was interesting. I will never forget. This was actually my first corporate job. When I mentioned that I lived in Germany, it was just before I moved to Germany. It was kind of like this I was there a very short amount of time. It was like a corporate job in logistics. And I felt like this is a job for dummies. And it was an entry-level job, so it was kind of for dummies. I felt like I'm just clicking like that with a mouse and something's happening, but I don't have to use my brain at all. And with every day, I felt like a few of my brain cells just die. As you can see, I need a lot of things come into my brain constantly. And when I talked to my team leader at that moment, and I told him like, hey, it's just not for me, and I decided to actually move abroad and so on. So I'm finished here. And I was still in a probation. So in a way, technically you can leave very quickly, but I still, give there some time out of respect. And he was so disappointed, but kind of like more like shocked in the sense of like, wow, I actually saw your future here. And look at me, like I've been here for 5 years and look at me. And he was just like one position above me, like he was team leader of the team that I was in. And then he told me, and I'm only here, you could be so much further. Here is, and he gave an example of this woman who was his boss. She's like, we started together, but I decided that I want to spend some time with my family. So I made it here, but she's actually my boss. And she's been here for like, I think it was actually quite a long time, like 5 to 7 years, like something in this way. I don't remember exactly. And it's so funny because this was the moment when in my mind, I was like, run. Because I suddenly saw this possibility on a horizon. And I'm like, you want to tell me that in 5 years, I can be where you are? This is the least motivating thing that I could imagine. And I don't mean it in any like disrespectful way. But I was still shocked. It was actually kind of crazy to me. And so this is actually even a good example of like, when you look right now, whether it is the people who are above you in your job or where you could possibly go, does this excite you? Or do you find it like I need to change direction? So this is already one of the questions that you can ask. Another question that's quite important, we can see it here. Did you put yourself here on this journey, or did someone else do that? And when I say someone else, it could be family, parents, it could be the fact that maybe at the time when you were making the decision, other people around you, it could be schoolmates maybe made a decision, same one. Or you saw it in a movie. It's so crazy how extremely random things sometimes completely change the way how we think about things and where we are currently. So again, think about this question. If you want to write them down right now, or if you just want to then just now listen to everything and then look in the replay later and really sit down and question these things. It's crazy when you realize certain things that came. Also, one thing that's very interesting is I recently had the thought and I just had to really laugh. So many people, for example, when I said the example of when you are young, you decide to become a doctor. So many people who are on these like journeys, how, for example, they see on the horizon and it might again feel like this long road, or it might be very clear on their career path where they're going, and they don't like it. But there is this fear of change. And you guys have moved countries at least twice. So, so I can already see the fact that you are not fearful of that, but we can sometimes not be fearful of that in one way, but maybe in a different segment of life, we can still have these fears. So again, good to question it. But I find it so interesting how certain people have decided to be on the journey and continue on the journey just because they have already made one time a decision. And I recently had this kind of like analogy coming to me, and I was thinking of like, COVID is right now such a good example, because we saw, Carla, you mentioned that you started like working from home already before that. But you suddenly saw how when that happened, of course, businesses needed to stay in business. So they needed to adjust, right? They needed to pivot. They went online. Who didn't have laptop yet, maybe they had a desktop, they provided with a laptop, and they just had to do anything to stay afloat. And if we would see a business, like, for example, we can look back at Nokia, right? When they said, oh, smartphone is never going to be a thing. They didn't pivot. And is someone right now going to, maybe, I'm not judgmental over that, but not me. I'm not going to go and buy a smartphone from Nokia right now. I'm going to trust other brands way more because they already made a pivot and it was very clear, right? They knew where the path is leading. And it's interesting that the companies who would not adjust to changes in life and in the world, again, we had this change with pandemic, something happened, they had to pivot, right? We would consider them like dummies if they didn't pivot, but yet we would consider a lot of people who are like changing career paths or changing jobs, we would consider them as flaky, or as they don't know what they want, they don't know what they're doing. Just sometimes when you look at the same literal thing from a perspective of comparing it to kind of like I lost that word right now, but let's say, yeah, formula of, we would look at it from the perspective of companies. It's literally the same thing, yet we wouldn't look at it this way. I still need to discover what career choice is a fit to my lifestyle. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Carl. Love that analogy. Yes, exactly, because you can see, right? Would you say that the company doesn't know what they're doing if they wouldn't change? No, of course you realize that they need to change. If you had your own business and you would right now still be sending everyone postcards to gather them on a meeting, probably this company would not survive, right? To only on like physical letters, of course. And now the fact that we can all be global, right? You have again moved countries, you have moved continents actually. You realize that changes are necessary, right? Even the way how it's going to be for our kids. They are going to be growing up in a completely different world than we are now. And the changes for them are going to be even more drastic. And the same way, if let's say you have decided to go to study something, and based on that, your whole career path started to be designed, look back at the person you were, this one, with all these questions. Who was this person who actually was in that moment who made that decision? Why did they make that decision? Why did they make the decision to study this, to study that, to not to study, or to study? Would you not go back to this person, to this teenager, and ask them for career advice? Would you not go back to a random teenager on the street and ask them for career advice? Probably not. Or if you were listening to a teenager and this person told you, I'm gonna be a singer, I'm gonna be this and that, would you say that, of course, this person is going to become it, and certain percentage of these people do become it, but then you would also have a complete compassion towards if they decided to change direction, right? It's totally fine to change the direction. And the reason why I chose this picture is because we often look in front of us just in this way, right? We only look front and we don't realize that they are different possible roads on the other side. So this is where it leads us. So what would happen if you change direction? Do you have there at this moment in your head certain maybe fears that would come up for you if you decided to change? Carla, imagine that right now you would have decided you will not be no longer in this type of job. And instead you would decide to become a yoga teacher. Would that be crazy? Yeah, fear of financial, exactly. Fear of financial instability. Is there something else coming up? A lot of people actually, it's interesting, really a lot of people have this, that they would be ridiculous because they have already made the decision. We're gonna come back to whether it would be the teenager who made the decision, or even like, let's say 25. Sometimes we are like so stuck to even decision that we would have made like 1 year ago, and it feels like, whoa, I have failed, right? If I didn't end up this way. A lot of people would also, for example, have it, we see that, right? A lot of couples stay in marriages that they are unhappy in because they would be a failure if they divorced, right? That's another example that we see very, very commonly in the world. Okay, perfect. I have changed many times. I'm so happy to hear that. Not because I hope that it was out of it was your decision, kind of in a way that you felt like you need to make a change, but it's so good that you managed to do that, because really a lot of people does not have the guts to do that. And unfortunately, this is no longer the time when you usually stay 25 years in one place. I tend to follow my interest. I love that. And so the next questions are going to be perfect for you. Often when we make certain decisions, we tend to make them based on what we already know. Now, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to come back to those questions. This is what I mean when I say social conditioning, right? Whether it is based on where you come from, we have already touched on this at the beginning, where you come from, who your parents are. You can be from one country, two people from one country, but the fact that you're gonna be from one district or another district, even within the same city, you might have a completely different way of thinking about what life is. Again, I love analogies, clearly, but my favorite way of looking at it is, for example, when you look at the globe, how the globe is shown differently to people of depending on where they are in the world. So interesting. It's just a few weeks ago, we were talking with my friend who is from China, how she was blown away the moment she moved to Europe, that the globe is shown in the wrong way. And it's so funny because then when she showed me how the world looks from the perspective of China, of course, China is in the middle, of course, the same way as European in this time zone where we are, we see it from Europe and Africa being in the middle, of course. So this is just one way of thinking about that. We all have this perception of reality based on how and where we grew up, who we are, who our parents are, who their parents are we from village, city, whatever it is. And just by this default of how you grew up, what TV shows you were watching, you keep taking on these social conditionings and automatically thinking that this thing is a true. The problem then when we start creating our life and our career from this place, from this journey, is that we keep creating from what we already know. So we do not allow the space for the new, for new possibilities. I absolutely love, Carla, that you were already mentioning that you tend to follow your bliss. Oh, wrong one. Because so many people are afraid to do that. It's actually almost like scary to me that sometimes it takes such a long time to let somebody know that they can actually make a change and they can actually follow what their interest is. But if we are in a place where we don't even know where to start, good place where to start is to think about, does this journey where I'm currently in, does it energetically drain me? And if yes, sit down and really maybe after this workshop, take a few moments to, especially these two questions, we're gonna come back to them. They're very important, especially if you really don't know where to go. What on this journey is draining me? And what on this journey brings me joy? I'm gonna let you know a little bit later why we are starting with these. But in a sense, we are starting with these for the reasons of we need to first get into our feelings and how we actually want to energetically feel. So we're going to be defining our energetic values, how we actually want to feel in the ideal life, in the ideal career, because we cannot create from what we already know. We're going to now look at these words: success, being rich, ideal lifestyle, dream job, fulfilling career. Just before we move on to anything else, again, chat, microphone, whatever you feel more comfortable with. What is coming to you when you see these words? Feel free to choose maybe one word, whatever it is. Is there something specific maybe?
For me, ideal lifestyle is the center. Like you also put it in the center, so it makes sense. I mean that is the thing I'm looking for at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
In my life, I think a fulfilling career is something that always has beautiful stuff and then less beautiful stuff. So it doesn't need to be always perfect. When it has a governing direction, which is the ideal lifestyle. It's about making sure, I mean, what you're doing at work will come back positively at home.
Mhm.
And being able to blend them both. This is like for us, for me at least, the dream job, you know. It's being able to work remotely so that we can maximize the time as a family.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you be able to actually define for me, if you were to make a definition of each word? I already see Carla is also typing something. Let's say even ideal lifestyle. Could you come up with a definition? Could you describe it to me? Let's say we don't know each other at all. This is the first sentence you're going to tell me. What is an ideal lifestyle?
An ideal lifestyle is for me to work from wherever we are, for example. I think today, with the way technology is also, it allows us to aspire for this, you know, to be wherever we want. I mean, we can connect with our colleagues from any location, and being able to do that means that we can go to any location as a family or as a couple or as a I mean, from a personal life, it will be more flexible and it will be more fulfilling in terms of matching the two things, you know. Every time we talk about career separately from home, and then at this stage there should be a blend. It has to be more intertwined, comparing to the typical 9 to 5 kind of thing, you know, going to work, getting stuck in a traffic, and then the same way on the way back. So that's for me the thing we need to break.
Yeah, I am absolutely with you. If you would look at the word rich, what does that word mean to you?
Abundant, of course. It's about rich and free. It's freedom, actually. It's about being able to do what you like in parallel of what you need to do. Like it would be great to have a career that is that is the dream job, you know, and feeling that what you're doing is really the best thing you could be doing. That would be for me the extra, the cherry on top. But being rich is about being able to do what I want to do as a person, independently of my career. Because at this stage of my life, they are two. You know, I'm not living my career.
Yes.
I'm living a life that is separate from my career, and that's something I'm fine with at the moment. I don't want to be someone who's sleeping at work, you know. That's the consulting way of life, you know. People in consulting, they usually spend at least 10 to 12 hours a day, maybe, in some places of the world, you know. So that's something that I brought from my experience that I don't.
Understood. Carla wrote, rich is being able to provide what you want when you want with the people you love in a place you love. This is so beautiful. Do you feel like you are there right now? You can nod if you want. Yes. Beautiful. So you find yourself rich, and we also want to sustain that, because as you see, it's not just about money, but also one thing, and there's this beautiful exercise. It's really, maybe you could even make them as a family. It's just so gorgeous if you haven't done it yet. A lot of people, when you say, you know, especially we see it with these like negative comments, you know, when they say like, it's easy for them to say they're rich, right? These kind of stuff. So a lot of these people think that being rich, being a millionaire, whatever it is something so unattainable. And then if you actually, that's why I wanted you to define these things, because often we see stuff like that somewhere being only for the chosen ones, right? Being for so far, being unattainable. And then when you actually sit down and you start journaling or start writing down what it means to have a rich, abundant lifestyle, how, or even like this ideal lifestyle, we can start putting actually the amount of dollars, euros, whatever your currency is at the moment, to start putting it behind that, right? Let's just give an example. You can start writing down, oh, if I were rich, if I'm living my rich lifestyle, that means that once a month I can have a manicure. If I'm living my rich lifestyle, this is the car that I'm driving. This is the my dream apartment or house I want to live in, and you're gonna find out what is the exact price of that real estate. I am getting weekly massages. For somebody, it's gonna be more material stuff. For somebody, it's going to be, let's say, with your family that you wanna go, I don't know, maybe you want to pay a certain type of school for your kids, right? Maybe you want to put them into private school to for whatever reason. Again, you found one that is they are teaching them 3 languages, and you're thinking of like, wow, it would be so grateful, so amazing if we would be able to raise our kids with 3 languages. Whatever it is, write down literally everything that you want to have in your dream lifestyle, in what it means to be rich. And actually take the time to write down exactly how much the stuff would cost you. If you then put it together, you realize that this rich lifestyle doesn't actually cost that much as you would assume. It's so interesting sometimes when you do this, because you would be thinking of like, even if you're gonna go crazy, let's say, and you're gonna start like, oh, I want a Ferrari. If you're gonna be thinking over like a certain period of time, it doesn't have to, I'm not talking like 20 years. You will realize that all of these things do not cost you as much as you want. And again, we will then be able to see like, okay, I'm gonna say random numbers, but you will realize how much money you will need to be making per month, for example. Either as a family, it's easier when you do this as a family, or even as an individual, to then see, okay, monthly, this is the income we need to have. Already, this is a good way how to start navigating that career, because then you will know that, oh, actually, I don't have to have such a high-end job as I thought I need to, or vice versa. Or, for example, certain types of job pay me this or pay me that, or I'm going to be rather freelancer, or, or I want to be full-time. All of these things already start helping you to navigate to somewhere. When it comes to the word success, anything specific that is coming up, that one is actually very interesting, because I find that people use the word, but not a lot of people have any type of meaning behind that. So it's so interesting. This one, I find it even more interesting when it comes to the tie to the social conditioning. A lot of people would say successful people are like people who are very successful in business, or they are very, let's say, successful in, I don't know, Hollywood, or like they are famous, right? But do you know what successful mean to you?
It's being able to, it's the freedom, I guess. It's a result. It's situation that lets you do what you want. I don't know if I'm using the right words.
Yeah, I get you. And I feel like, again, Carla is responding in a very similar way. I feel so articulate. I love it. Success is when you can have your ideal lifestyle while being financially abundant and financially independent. I love that. I feel like we have a very similar definition of that. So I really enjoy that. Do you, again, right now where you feel, do you feel like you are there? No. Again, we have stuff to work on. That's great. Perfect. So as I said at the beginning, I also kind of like wanted to give you a taste of how I'm actually working with my private clients. So when, because my biggest joy in this type of work that I'm doing is to help the people navigate them through how they can get to their best life. I'm going to tell you 2 examples that I recently had with my clients. And this was the first very important part that we already mentioned. At the beginning, we have to let go of what we already know to be true. This is making us blind to what actually can be true, right? As you see here written, progress is impossible if you keep doing things the way you have always done them, right? So we want to let go of any kind of logic, of any kind of what we think is possible, what I should do, shouldn't do, blah, 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 blah. We don't care about it right now. We're going to come back to the logic later. I'm not just saying that we're going to be blindly jumping off the cliff, but in the moment of when we are visioning, when we are trying to figure out what direction to take, the logic is in this moment not important. So I'm going to give you 2 examples because neither of those is following logic. I have this client from Australia. She has her own business when she's coaching. And let's call her Anna. Let's give her a name. It's not her real name, but for privacy protection, we're going to call her Anna right now. And she really loves what she's doing. She's actually helping people to get through some of their traumas, and she's doing very deep work with those people. Like the transformation they are going through is incredible. And yet she finds herself in a situation where it's draining her. She loves what she's doing, but it's draining her so much that she just keeps getting like burned out. And then she gets to financially to almost the bottom because she's not capable of sustaining her energy in what she's doing and to actually keep going forward. So it's constantly up and down, up and down. We could say, but she loves her job, no? She loves what she's doing. It should be sustainable, no? Well, unfortunately, it's not the case because we might be thinking about financially sustainable, but because she's not managing to sustain her energy, she's not financially sustainable. So what we did, again, we let go of what we already know and what I got her to do and what hopefully I will, that's why I'm trying to go through these questioning exercises with you so that you can do it by yourself later on and start embarking on this journey as well. We started actually going through what would be the ideal place where she would like to go, but without defining anything, just about how she wants to feel. She realized that she is thriving when she is actually surrounded by people. Personally, that would kill me. I love being online because energetically it really drains me when I need to be too much physically around people. I love to talk to people like that. I love to have 1 hour session, 2 hour session, whatever it takes. I love to go very deep, but being physically around too many people, definitely crowds. I don't really go to concerts and so on because I am then just exhausted for days. I just cannot do that, right? So she was the opposite. She realized that the business model she has built for herself, it's literally energetically killing her and she cannot keep going. So she thought of like, okay, so I need to get out. I need to maybe take some receptionist job for part-time to just sustain myself, to be able to keep going with the business. Let's say 3 days, I'm going to be working as a receptionist to be able to pay my rent and then to feel free when it comes to my business. And I can have ups and downs and I don't mind, right? We actually got her to visualize a type of place that makes her feel energetically abundant. Now, I'm so happy that you guys were already using these type of words. So the fact that you were already talking about abundant and living this like rich lifestyle, that it already is something that is in your vocabulary. A lot of people don't even dare to use these words. So this is just so refreshing, this already. And when she started visualizing this, she suddenly found herself like, I want to be surrounded with food and artists, and I want to be in an art gallery, and I want to be like hosting these retreats. And she was saying these things that logically make no sense, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you went from, she used to be, when it comes to FMCG in like the food industry, in being in sales, to suddenly talking about wanting to work in an art gallery and being surrounded with artists and to be on live events, because she was missing this type of element in her lifestyle. And also she had to let go of the fact that because she cannot sustain herself in the business that she actually loves, and everybody around her knows that she's doing, that it's not enough for her to provide on a monthly basis. So she felt there like a failure of like she has failed in business, instead of then realizing that she was following a model, a business model that was not a fit for her, for the way how she actually operates. I'm not even joking. After like 3 sessions that we had together, and through these visualizing practices that we made together, and of course we worked on a few other stuff, she suddenly found a job where she would be an event coordinator for an art gallery. And she would be organizing events for artists, and she would make sure that there is all the food that needs to be when it comes to be provided for everybody who will be joining those sessions. Like, you cannot make it up. She has no experience in that. She has never done anything like that. She one day applied, they loved everything what she wrote them, because she was letting them from an inspired place, because she saw herself in that place. Of course, she is supposed to be there. The day after, right away, she had an interview. She's supposed to have a last interview this week. So let's see, we are crossing fingers. But this is one of those moments where you have to let the logic go. You would never be able to come up with a journey like that. Another client who, I'm going to try to make the story shorter a little bit, I'm really talking a lot. Another client, she has moved to Germany to pursue a career where she actually went there for a completely different job. She was supposed to be personal assistant to like an executive assistant. But because they have canceled that position, she was put actually in sales, completely different stuff. It took her a while to actually find herself about what she wants to do there or not. Now she realized that actually, the same way as I was talking about Czech Republic, it's the place that doesn't support her. Doesn't support her when it comes to her physical well-being. She needs more sun. She wants to be able to do more outdoor activities, etc., etc. The job itself, she got used to it, right? She found her way in it, and she actually started really enjoying some stuff in it. But she felt like, for my personal health, I need to change the place I live. At the moment when we actually started again visualizing and also dropping into her body, I have to say I'm working with each client differently based on how I see where is their path of least resistance towards where they will be able to listen to their own body, because of course we all work differently. We have different patterns from the past. So I cannot, and I wouldn't even dare to tell you this is one formula that I'm using with everyone. It's impossible. But through that example of being able to listening to her body and how her own intuition, where it is leading her, within 3 weeks, again, maybe this is a magic number, within 3 weeks, she was offered a possibility to move to Spain with her current company, where she would be able to do the same job, but for a different market on a German salary. So these are 2 examples that you, following logic, you would not be able to come up with that. I see something in chat. What do I see? I do not incorporate Reiki. I'm not trained in that. So again, I wouldn't dare, but I'm actually working. Have you ever heard of AFT tapping? Emotional freedom technique? That is magic. I have worked with that so much, and I have worked a lot because I didn't have a very healthy money relationship with money, and a lot of money beliefs that was really keeping me a lot of stuck. So I personally have used it a lot on myself, definitely a lot on the client who now I was mentioning that might be moving to Spain. And wow, I'm actually amazed that you are into these things. It's always lovely to see that, because the people who are open to that, the journey, the speed with which they move. Now you see, like both of these examples, it was within 3 to 4 weeks of working together. And you're like, how is this possible? You know, like, especially when I used to have people on interviews who would tell me, yeah, I'm in this job, I guess now I should become a manager. Like, Like, is there any life in this body? Like, what's going on? Like, why are you doing this? Like, what's up? Yeah. So do you feel like for yourself, you can let go of that logic? Do you feel like if you actually close your eyes and you thought of what is the environment I want to be in, do you feel like you would be able to feel something? Are you in that place in your journey that you can actually visualize it for yourself a little bit? When I say visualize, I know that there's a vision, right, in the vision. But for me, for example, when I'm visualizing, I'm using more journaling towards that. Because I'm realizing that somehow when the pen is connecting to my body, I start automatically writing things down and I'm feeling them. I don't have so much the vision in my mind. So I just want to say that we have a different way how to connect with that. Not so much. Yeah. Okay. In that case, let's move on to the next slide. So through this way of how we want to feel in an everyday life and at work, we would start with defining our energetic values. And this is how we do that. So for example, let's say you're working, whether you want to close your eyes right now or not, I'm going to leave it up to you what you're comfortable with. What is it right now in your life, whether it's your last job or all of the jobs in the past that were just stuff that did not serve you? It could be realizing that you always have a certain type of manager. It could be realizing that, like I said, my example, for example, like I cannot be too much physically around people. I'm too tired. I cannot. The example of my colleague was she cannot be home alone, right? So again, we are not saying one is right or wrong. We are trying to define your own energetic values. The more you realize these, the more the journey is almost gonna start shaping itself for you. And also, one thing, you do not have to figure everything out. But the more you will figure out how you energetically want to feel in that situation and you feel yourself in it, it's crazy that these opportunities actually often approach you. Even like when I had a past masterclass on talking about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, of course, we always have the masculine and the feminine part, right? We have the part of where we actually talk about the SEO or where do we put certain keywords, etc., etc. But then we also talk about how to give it personality, how you actually show up. Carla, I'm sure that maybe you thought about this. You're gonna be thinking of like when you're preparing the post for your company, of course, you're going to be thinking about the visual, but you're also talking about who is your target audience, etc. If you look at it, the target audience energetically, what is the type of people, let's say, that you want to be working with? How are they talking to you? Is it really, and we can go question by question. Is it a casual environment? Formal, informal? Is it that it, you know, if you need to vision it, you can even be thinking, do I see on camera people in suits or do I see their people in sweatpants? You don't think too much about how logically you're thinking it again, because it might just be kind of like starting to draw the environment for you. We can be thinking about the physical environment. We can be thinking about the way how people exchange. Do I work on certain type of products? The same way as my client started, for whatever reason, started thinking about artists, that she wants to be surrounded by these because they inspire her in her other work. Casual, relaxed, yes, casual, relaxed environment. I am very much in sync with that as well. Do you have something specific that is in your current reality that does not serve you and you are ready to let go of it? You are ready to let go and not have it in your future environment. Small team and corporate friendly. I like that. Corporate friendliness.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm expressing myself correctly, but that's the experience I've had in the last job I had, and then it's kind of a good representation of what I like in the environment. It's, I mean, this is, I mean, the work is where you spend a big time of your time, you know, and then you don't want to waste it with with putting gloves and then being tiptoeing around people's feelings or behaviors. You know, it's a waste of time. You know, you need to have like a kind of symbiosis with your colleagues, and then even if it's like the star job that you want, if it's done with someone you don't like or you cannot get along with, it's gonna ruin all of that, you know. So for me, it's still a personal atmosphere, you know. If that's what I think I look for, even if it's a small, I don't know, restaurant that is in a village somewhere far, you know. If it's done with someone that you can get along with a lot, it would be like the best thing you do. For me, like this kind of relationship is essential. I mean,
That's beautiful. And I would even advise you to, you can now, or if you are not clear very, very much right now, to be able to go more deeply on it, to describe it even more. Do you meet in person? Do you never meet in person? You know, like literally all the possible questions that you could ask about that. Because the more you will be able to literally describe the details of the types of exchange when it comes and you see this type of opportunity, even if, let's say, with a job title, it wouldn't seem like something you would normally go for. Suddenly, when you understand, you feel the rest, you're like, of course, this is it.
Are you talking about the job profile that I
literally anything at this point? This is kind of why I said it, we want to let go of the logic. We don't have to be necessarily looking at the job profile and your type of company, but how you're feeling in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I feel like now I'm ready to do whatever is open to me. Of course, I'm not gonna be a doctor, or I'm not gonna be
of course
airplane pilot, you know. Those are things that not are outside but the scope. But I don't really have a limit between making pizzas and then consulting for big corporations. For me, it's about the people you do it with, and I don't know. I mean, a small team, because I like working in small teams. Also, could be remote, doesn't need to be face to face, but it's about the complicity that exists, and being able to focus on to the target rather than the job description.
Yes. Yeah. We want to start asking ourselves all of these questions in different ways, from different perspectives, about different stuff, different subjects, right? So we want to think about, how does our everyday life look like? And literally, again, if you're more of a visual person, if you want to write it down, if you want to have it in a conversation, describe it from the morning to the evening. And don't switch the career path that you say, then I go to the to work, and then I leave work, and then we do this and that. Try literally to describe everything. And with that, describe the perfect day so that you become more aware, right? It could really be from when you start describing exactly what you're doing, this is what I'm going to start doing at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And then you realize, like, oh, I wrote down that at 11 o'clock, I go for lunch with my colleagues. Logically, I thought I'm supposed to have a remote job. And then because of this and this and that, again, neither is wrong or right. But I wrote down that I want colleagues. Why do I want colleagues? Oh yeah, maybe because now when I'm living in Lisbon, it would be such a good way of meeting people. Or maybe you're gonna realize, actually, I'm not really interested in that. I really would prefer if we are both with my wife working from home, and it would be so lovely if we could actually have lunch together at home. Like, wow, that would be such a dream, to having that possibility. And instead, I actually want to get a hobby, to start playing a certain sport, and this way get to know people from my new neighborhood.
Exactly. It's about using that time with the people you want to, rather than the people you have to. And then also, I mean, with respect to all of those people working in those fields, you know, I don't like to hire a nanny to take care of our kids. You know, we want to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Same for cleaning, and same for the things we don't like to do. But and then we don't want to have to do them because our work does not allow us to do that.
Mm.
It's putting our energy where it's supposed to be, rather than where it's imposed on us to be. Like picking my kids from school and then taking them back home. It doesn't have to be impossible because of work, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing. These are the questions that we want to keep asking until they bring us to a place where we have more clarity. And it might be through like trial and error, right? I'm not definitely saying with this that, oh, I'm going to make this one exercise and tomorrow I know exactly what to do. And the day after tomorrow I have a job, right? It might not be exactly like that. And sometimes maybe it's a good idea to start applying to random jobs just so you get yourself on the interviews. And again, just see it as an exercise. Do I like the way they spoke to me? Do I feel it was respectful or not? Do I see any red flags there? And literally, again, see like, oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that for this type of job that they want. They expect me to have this type of salary, especially as here in Portugal, the salaries are very low and the prices are going very much up. So again, the idea is like, okay, do I want to actually work in this environment here, or do I want to find a remote job from a company of outside of Portugal, right? So there are all of these things that are important for us to evaluate in it. I like what Carla just wrote. I don't want to do the cleaning. I want the cleaner and the extra hands for support when needed. Yes. And that's the thing. Here we are coming back to having the options, right? Neither of these things is black and white. It's 0 or 100. Neither of those means a babysitter is coming every day, but it can be, oh, if we want to go Friday outside together, we can have a babysitter because we want and because we can, because we just made a choice. So it's awesome. You will always find a middle ground, I'm sure. But excuse me. Yeah. So we will be almost finishing here. Let me know. I would be very curious right now. What are your thoughts after this session? I know that I would even advise you to come back to it, and through some of the questions that we were discussing here, to go way more deeply on them. Again, if you want to do it alone or a discussion together, or and again, visualizing or meditation, whatever works for you. If you just want to go on a walk and write out this question and every 10 minutes look at a different question, whatever works for you, do that. But right now, how are you feeling? I would be very curious to hear some feedbacks.
I'll go first. Sorry, I mean, I'm surrounded with children who are constantly screaming in and out. Yeah, I think I really like the visualization part. I never thought about it really because, I mean, I learned to do it in certain aspects of my life, but not really in the career realm. So I find it very interesting to actually incorporate into the exercise that I should be doing right now, which is to figure out what I really want to do and what is it I want to feel. So I never thought of associating these exercises into the thought process of thinking of your career and brainstorming about your career. So I find it very like eye-opening and inviting to a new dimension and a new possibility. So it's very interesting.
It's interesting because, again, I know I'm repeating myself here a lot, but when I was mentioning the stuff that our logic tells us a certain way how things can be, right? For this type of job, I can be only paid this and this. For in this type of job, we only do this and this. Again, coming back to the part when I was talking about the LinkedIn optimization masterclass I did, I was given an example of, let's say that you have completely optimized your profile with all of the right keywords. But then you're going to show there a little bit of personality. And let's say you're going to say that you like a certain hobby. I don't know. You love plants. Let's say you love plants. It could seem so random. And you would think like, what is any kind of disconnection with my job? Like, why would you write it down? Well, the thing is that when you are kind of clear, whether it would be on your LinkedIn profile or in your visualization, when you're clear about what you enjoy, what place makes you feel inspired, you really start attracting it in a different way that you would not expect, because then there might be this one specific company that is looking for web developers, right? Something that has nothing to do with your hobby, with your passion. And it just is actually for a, I don't know, international plant organization. I have no idea if anything like that exists. And they will go through 100 profiles. And then they will see that you have that interest and that you actually run a blog about plants. Does it anything to do with your career? No. But are you going to be the first person they're gonna get in touch with? Most probably yes, because you're gonna be doing that job differently. The same way as I can actually give my example through visualizing into way before I actually got into being a career coach and I was still in recruitment, I started feeling like, you know what, I am ready to start talking about the stuff I have learned throughout my time in recruitment. And I got randomly approached by a magazine, online magazine for young people, to be writing articles about from the topic of recruitment. And you would not be able to make it up. But because I energetically already put myself in that environment of, I want to be producing something out there for someone else to be able to feed off from that, it suddenly became manifested. And guess what? I did not like it. And that's okay. It's just another way how you realize how your career path is being shaped. It's because I just don't enjoy writing. And especially because I didn't have the creative freedom. And you can see here that I like to, I see all of this holistically, as the same way as for me, job and life and career and life are all one. They are not separate. I cannot separate these things. I cannot tell you that answer this job interview question in this way because that's going to make you successful and you're going to stay in that job. Are you going to be happy in the job? Nobody asked that, right? So I cannot do that. I cannot speak like that. So that didn't suit me. But it was a beautiful way, because then when similar opportunities arrived in the future, I already know that those opportunities are not for me. And this is even where we want to get here, right? The more we are going to be dropping energetically into where we want to go, what we want to be surrounded with, what makes you inspired, what type of maybe behavior you really do not want to be around, it's going to help you navigate yourself. And it's at some point, it's just going to become so clear. And it can be clear for the next 1 month, 2 years, 10 years. And then when you realize you again, how I love what Carla said at the beginning, it looks like a long path. It's just like, oof, I don't like what I see on that horizon. I don't want to be there. And you just decide to choose a different path. I manifested the job I'm currently in, but now we seem to be at a crossroads again. Yes. Yeah, and it's okay, right? It was serving you until now. And I definitely had it in my last job as well. I definitely manifested it and I was so grateful. I literally got at least double the salary of what I was hoping in, suggested from them. And I was like, woo, I'm blown away. I didn't know that's possible. They told me what the salary is. If I ask, I would barely ask for half, because I didn't know that recruiters can be paid like that. Oh, that's kind of cool. And it was perfect. And then stuff changed in the company, people changed, and suddenly it actually went from perfect and having the opportunities to do stuff I could never do before in past jobs, it suddenly changed from literally almost Monday to Tuesday to completely toxic. And it was time to go, right? We were in a crossroad. It was time to let go. And again, that is okay. So yeah, Carla, we're going to be manifesting something different now. Samir, do you have something from your side right now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I'm on a crossroad as well, because I think as a family, we intentionally put ourselves out of our comfort zone. So that's how I'm looking for it. And I'm seeing it as an opportunity, because it's a new place. It works for us as a family for what we want. And then we want to also make it successful, and then having all those stability points that we want for all aspects. So it's an interesting exercise that we need to do. And yeah, I mean, it's eye-opening. It's really the right moment to do that.
Perfect. And that's the thing, we still live in a material world, right? As I said at the beginning, neither of these exercises is about right now, after doing this, you need to run and jump off the cliff. We're not talking about this. You have family, right? You need to take care of yourself, of your kids. You have a lot of responsibilities right now. And the way how I see that is there can be two different ways how to look at career, right? We can either do the career that we love, or we can love the career that we do. Now, it's a little bit of a tongue twister in a sense. So how I mean that. Let's say, even though I was just talking about how I didn't enjoy doing these blog posts, but let's say that if I'm gonna decide right now to be a writer because I just really love it, and I'm gonna be like, you know what? I don't care about anything else. I know I believe it's going to support me, and I can start doing the job that I love. I'm gonna start doing the career that I love, and I'm just gonna believe and I'm gonna trust. Sometimes there is not the place for it. It's beautiful, and I would wish for everyone to be in that situation. But what we need to sometimes to do is to start learning how to love the job that we do, because it's important in the moment to sustain us. So we might need to stay in a certain job, but learn how not to be miserable in that job in case it is the case, right? So again, how can we drop into what our energetic values are and how we can actually incorporate them in the moment where we are right now, which is interesting how that brings me to the to the last slide that we have here. How can we bring that into our current reality? In case, for example, maybe Carla, maybe that's for you. You might be on a crossroad, but you might still be in that exchange, let's say, where even though you know that in the long run, it's not a fair exchange anymore, it might still be a fair exchange now according to where you are in life. And kind of as a good Libra, to put it kind of like on this way of life and thinking about like, okay, is it still like that? Or is it starting to be like that? Do I feel comfortable making that jump? Comfortable enough. We are never going to be fully comfortable enough doing that jump. And do I know that, I don't know, for 6 months, it's okay, or it's not possible? It's always important to realize where we are in this. And there is no shame in doing neither. And again, there are different situations in life. Both are okay. We just always need to know which one it is. Am I staying here just out of fear of change? Or am I staying here because right now it's important to stay here? Because, again, family, this, but not using this as an excuse, and still learning how to love the stuff that you currently do. And being able to appreciate the fact that you can work remotely right now. You can do this, you can do that. You get to still practice your creativity, right? Whatever it is that you are currently doing, how can you learn to love it? Okay, guys. Yes, Samir, you want to say
Yeah.
something?
No, I mean, maybe it's just to agree, maybe not to add a lot, but I really think that I mean, because currently I'm applying to a lot of jobs, and then I am not restricting myself to specific things. If I see that I can do something, I apply for it, and then I'll decide on it later on, or I'll wait for getting to have a feel of the interview, and then understanding how's the value of that company's unfolding. So yeah, I mean, this is the mindset I put myself in, like, and that's the job I was doing before. I mean, it was a job that I was enjoying, but it was not, it was something that I knew it will end at some point, you know, because it's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
But it was bringing money to the bank account.
Exactly. And that is fulfilling at sometimes as well, right? I'm sure we have all been in that. We're like, oh, wow, it actually feels so good, the fact that I'm receiving this amount on a monthly basis. And at certain times, this is enough. This is enough what makes that particular career or job fulfilling. And then we get to a certain point where like, oh, I'm doing that for the paycheck. It's not a vibe anymore. it's not enough, right? Suddenly it's not enough anymore. So I absolutely understand. You should check out, I made a course. I can then send the link. It's called Get the Job. And I think it could be very useful for you at this moment when you are just before the interviews. It has several sections about interview, how to get ready for interview, certain questions, again, like kind of, as you already see, connecting a lot of mindset into it. Then also on CVs, plus there are templates for CVs, just in case you would like to change something. And then also about the salary discussion, because a lot of people have troubles with that one. So you should definitely check it out. And yeah, so I hope that you have enjoyed this. Again, this is kind of something that I would go through with my clients just on the first coaching, because I don't think it would be healthier to try to go further right now, because it already can be like, whoa, okay, I need to rethink what are my values. It can be a pretty big thing. Once you actually go through this type of workshop, like really in depth by yourself, it can literally very quickly change the way how you even look at the applications, right, that you're sending. And it can completely change the direction of where your career could go. So don't take this lightly, really go through that. If you would want to be working on a longer basis together, let me know. I at this moment have a few open spots for like a 3-month private coaching container. I personally don't enjoy as a recipient, but also as a giver, let's say, of coaching sessions that are never ending. I think it's so much more healthier to decide for a certain period of time. And I found that 3 months are just perfect, where the people actually really go for it because they realize it's a limited amount of time and they don't get bored throughout the time. And they actually, at the same time, it's enough time to actually see the changes. So let me know if that would be interesting to you. And yes, I'm gonna be so excited to hear from you from the future how this exercises land in the long run.
Yeah.
I would, but it was so lovely to do this with you. I will be sending you the replay soon, so you can, again, if you want, you can just go through the exercise again on your own pace. And
Yeah.
I will be so looking forward to stay in touch.
Thank you so much. It was
Thank you
very
very
nice
much.
meeting you, and very interesting presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest
Thank
of your day,
you.
guys.
Thanks, you
As
too.
you saw towards the end of the recording, I was also extending an offer for a private coaching container with me, What that means, that's 3 months of weekly calls and also daily, Monday to Friday, daily access to me in Voxer, which is something like a walkie-talkie app. So if you feel like this is for you, either reach out to me regarding like when you receive this, or you will also be receiving that offer in an email box in the future email. So I would be honored if you feel like this is for you. And that's it for me now. All the best.